Welcome to the overview presentation of the Principal Residency Network, or the PRN. Today, as you learn the ropes about what you need before applying to the Principal Residency Network and about the program's highlights, it is my hope that you will get a clear overview of PRN and a better understanding of what applying to PRN looks like for you. The words we often use in PRN are ready, willing, hired, sustained, and they're at the center of the PRN and how we support candidates. Our goals are to help you to be ready to step into the role of leader, willing to do the work of leading, hired for a leadership role, and ultimately sustained within the many roles that you will hold as a leader, because the learning for leaders is lifelong and doesn't end with graduation from PRN. In today's overview agenda, you will learn about some of the key parts that make up PRN, such as the initial requirements to apply to PRN, the components of the program, its unique pathways, keys about the Johnson & Wales University partnership that PRN has, and how to apply to PRN. We have a team of staff members who support PRN, and I will introduce some of us at this time. I am the director of PRN, a role in which I manage PRN operations, instruct on PRN meeting days, and advise aspiring principals. And one of my colleagues is Chris Cuthbertson, who also instructs and advises in PRN, and additionally leads the advising of aspiring principals. And we don't do this work alone, of course, and I'd like to visually introduce you to some of our teammates that support our PRN work. And because we are Rhode Island, you might even recognize some of the names and faces as I advance through the slides. Dr. Jamal Safi, Dr. Janet Lyons, and Joe Piraglia all serve as advisors in PRN. Dr. Donna Braun is the Executive Director of the Center for Leadership and Educational Equity, or CLEE, and Kirsten Ebersole LaCroix is our Senior Director of Programs. Cora Brumley, Joel Stewart, and Chris Jones support the many facets of the work we do in PRN, from finances to data to operations and PRN admissions. They do a stellar job of ensuring that PRN has all that it needs to keep moving forward, and I am certain that you will be meeting some of these individuals as you begin to apply to PRN. For context about PRN and its landscape in Rhode Island, I will share a brief history of the PRN at this time. The PRN mission is to prepare aspiring leaders through a residency-based preparation route to certification to champion educational equity through leadership of innovative schools for the purpose of improving student achievement. And as I shared at the start, to create and support leaders who are ready, willing, hired, and sustained. Let's view some numbers to tell the story of PRN as we walk through a brief history. The PRN began to serve aspiring principals in 2001. PRN is turning 22 years old. The Center for Leadership and Educational Equity, CLEE, is the nonprofit organization and the parent organization of PRN and many other programs offered to educator leaders and their school communities. CLEE began in 2010. The mission of CLEE is to provide leaders with professional learning and support to create equitable outcomes for students in our schools. Interestingly, the child organization, the 22-year-old PRN, preceded the parent organization, CLEE, making CLEE 11 years old. The services at CLEE range from instruction on some of the basic skills of school leadership, for example, facilitating groups of adult educators, to instructionally based practices such as implementing doable instructional practices within the classroom and monitoring these, to assessing equity within systems, for example, through equity audits at schools and districts. CLEE involves leaders of all types across their continuum of learning and leading, such as content area or project leads, along with positional leaders, such as principals and superintendents. There's more information on the CLEE website about these programs, including custom-tailored services for schools and districts. On the scale used by the Rhode Island Department of Education to evaluate educator preparation programs, or EPPs, PRN has the highest approval rating possible, called Approval with Distinction, for its leadership prep program. PRN prepares candidates to become certified from the pre-kindergarten to the 12th grade levels. This is unique in that getting a certification in PRN is not split across grade levels. For example, by preparing candidates for a K to 2 or 7 to 12th grade certification separately, as can be the case in some contexts. The number of schools currently represented from across the state are 23. And the PRN candidates hail from across the entirety of Rhode Island. And among the types of districts and schools represented in PRN are, as you can see, public school, public charter, mayoral, alternative, along with urban, urban ring, suburban, and rural settings at all levels, pre-K through 12. Since PRN began its work in growing leaders in 2001, there have been 234 graduates and more to come over the next few months. 90 to 94% is the range of PRN graduates hired across the years into leadership roles. This is, in fact, a rate that may surpass the rate of many principal preparation programs across the country. As you view this presentation on learning the ropes of PRN, you can optionally add questions that you have to the form that was emailed to you. And we will be glad to share our replies to your questions on a spreadsheet that we will share with you. Envision your near future as a school principal. As you consider applying to PRN, it's key to tune into these needed and initial requirements. 1, you are required to have at least 3 years of educator experience. This can, but does not necessarily mean that your experience has been that of a classroom teacher. For instance, you might be a dean, guidance counselor, or literacy coach in service to students for 3 or more years while outside of the classroom setting. 2, you must have a master's degree or be enrolled in a master's degree program that you will be completing by the time you finish your PRN program. The master's degree can be in education or in another field. 3, as part of an authentic residency, candidates work at a school building site with a mentor. This can be different from internships, where you are engaged in a leadership role, in many cases for a designated and scheduled period of time. In PRN, you are living day to day as an embedded leader and more as a co-principal with your mentor principal by your side, supporting you. Some questions can be coming up for you about these requirements or other areas of PRN. Please keep these questions in mind as we have several ways of responding to you, and I will tell you more about this later. Program components. At the foundation of PRN is a dual focus on both learning and leading that includes engaging in learning assignments that are closely connected to the leadership standards, offer opportunities that the aspiring principal needs, and these assignments are flexible enough to be highly personalized by the aspiring principal and tailored to the experiences that they have in their particular residency. The other foundational base is leading in a residency that is authentic and that occurs right at the school site where the candidate works. What this means is that there is an ever-present dance of the theory marrying the practice through daily learning and real-time application of this learning in the residency. In fact, it might be surprising to hear that the assignments and tasks required by the program are a robust, demanding, and essential part of the full PRN experience along with the residency. What do these learning and leading areas really mean? And what is the critical role of mentor as principal teacher within this dual focus? The best way to describe the learning and leading parts of PRN is through its three components: learning through individualization, learning by doing, and learning in a community of practice. Learning through individualization that is designed for you and personalized by you. The program is tailored to your individual needs and school goals, guided by leadership standards that are research-based and back-mapped to the Rhode Island Standards for Educational Leaders, or RISEL, with the additional enhancement of sharply focusing on equity and performance-based assessments through this learning. 2, learning by doing. Leaders engage in an intensive school-based residency, as I shared earlier, by utilizing problem-based learning and reflections to create an authentic practice for growth. 3, learning in a community of practice. Our cohesive, multi-layered, aspiring principal cohort structure, the high-quality mentoring and rich feedback loops provide collaborative experiences, real-time learning, and collegial support throughout the program. In the next few slides, I'll provide a high-level view of these three components that will help you to better visualize them. As a note, during the info session that you might have already signed up for, current aspiring principals share on how they engage with each of these PRN components based on their authentic and real-time learning and experiences within their day-to-day residencies. 1, learning through individualization. The nature of the program is such that it focuses on the unique personal development of each aspiring principal within their particular context, while each candidate also meets the same high standards through the following personalized ways: extensive and applicable readings, written reflections and papers, receiving coaching on dilemmas from their mentor principals, creating a learning plan that is centered on the leadership standards, evidence portfolios tied to the learning plan and the standards, presentation of exhibitions at various points in the year, and school improvement based on the specific school data and needs of the residency. The leadership standards, or core leadership practices as we call them in PRN, are the same for all, but how each AP reaches that standard is different and highly personalized. 2, learning by doing. The program focuses on school improvement and student equity through different ways and modes. The relationship that the mentor principal and aspiring principal build and fortify is of primary and paramount importance to the aspiring principal's growth, as each builds connections and trust with each other to engage in the deep and needed work of leadership. The embedded residency involves a gradual release by the mentor principal to the aspiring principal and into authentic leadership, to the point where the candidate becomes, in essence, a co-leader with the principal mentor. Among the ways that aspiring principals engage in doing within their residencies with mentor support are leading the facilitation of adult learners as the mentor principal observes, confronting real-time dilemmas with coaching from the mentor, determining how the aspiring principal is meeting the leadership standards and to what level. Some of the ways that aspiring principals enact their roles as leaders in the schools are by identifying inequities through data and engaging in year-long cycles of continuous improvement, or what we call the CIP or CIP, using the theory readings in real ways to bridge into and expand their practice within their residencies. And 3, learning in a community of practice. Candidate leaders are mostly learning and leading in PRN within a community of peers. The built-in layers of support lend themselves to this practice and include cohort meetings for aspiring principals, network and institute days with aspiring principals joined by their mentor principals, PRN arranged visits to a diversity of schools to engage in feedback rounds with current school principals and leaders, feedback from PRN advisors, collaborative small groups or CSGs that you become a part of, community of practice or COP peers, and others in the school community. There's an advisor to support aspiring principals through meetings, written feedback, rubric scoring, and in many other ways, plus the partner mentor principal, of course, which I'll now share some more about. The mentor principal role is one of close proximity and interaction with the aspiring principal, to the point where PRN highly recommends that you share an office and maybe even a desk. And to the level, as I shared, where you come to serve as co-principal with the mentor. The mentor applies, interviews, enrolls with the aspiring principal. The mentor supports and gradually releases the aspiring principal into their leadership role within their residency and engages in some of the assignments, attends some of the instructional days, are engaged with the site visits, exhibitions, and celebrates graduation with the PRN cohort. In essence, the aspiring principal and mentor principal continually work on building a strong connection and a relationship of trust with each other, working towards equity as colleagues and as leaders within their school community. Unique pathways. Each pathway is customized to your residency in that the pathway you are able to pursue depends on how much release time your current role allows for you to be engaged in your PRN leadership residency at the school. What these pathways do is allow you to keep your current role and livelihood at your school, so you are not taking time away from this. There are 3 pathways to allow many types of educator professionals living and working within their unique contexts, both personally and professionally, in order to access this opportunity into leadership and the principal certification. As part of the classic pathway requirements, candidates have robust learning assignments that are seamlessly based on their needed growth as leaders and tied to their residency. They attend instructional meeting dates based on the calendar that they receive in June before starting PRN. And there are samples of calendars on the PRN webpage for your viewing. For these instructional days, there is prep work that is pre-assigned for you to complete ahead of the meeting date. This one is paramount to keenly tune into. For the classic pathway, you are not in direct service to students for more than 25% of your time. And this might require some thinking about your role and some rearrangements to your schedule. The aspiring principal works with their mentor for 50% of the time, and this could be side by side leading and or through shared leadership where the partners agree that the aspiring principal would lead on their own with mentor release and support. Some examples of roles for the classic pathway can be dean, guidance counselor, instructional coach, content area, or teacher leaders. As part of the extended time or ET pathway requirements, in the first year, what is exactly like the classic pathway are the same robust learning assignments, attendance in the first year to the same instructional meeting dates, so the calendar is the same, and for these instructional days, there is prep as with the classic pathway. For the extended time pathway, however, and here are the notable differences, the residency is spread out over 2 years, not 1 year, and the work with the mentor entails 2 to 4 hours daily in partnership and or independently with the mentor support. In the second year, things change and lighten up for the extended time pathway in that there are significantly less assignments since the bulk of assignments are completed during the first year, and there are also less meeting dates as the candidate still continues to lead within their residency in that second year and work with their mentor 2 to 4 hours per day. Some examples of roles for the extended time pathway can be classroom teacher or district level leader. For the third pathway, as part of the leader of record or LOR pathway requirements, there are areas that are alike with the classic and extended time pathways in that in the first year, the assignments are similar with just a few more requirements at the end of each of the 2 years than the extended time pathway. Attendance at instructional days is the same in the first year as well as the prep. In the second year, the assignments and meeting days are markedly less. As with the extended time pathway, the leader of record pathway has a residency that is spread out over 2 years, and candidates also work with their mentor 2 to 4 hours daily in the course of the 2 years. Some examples of roles for the leader of record can be, in the first year, dean, classroom teacher, school or district level leader. For the leader of record, however, and here's what's unique. In year 1, the aspiring principal engages in a residency as described above. In year 2, because there might be a prospect for a new position, the candidate can be hired as a school leader, such as an assistant principal or other leadership role. The conditions to taking that leadership role in the second year are that the candidate pass the school leadership test given by ETS and then obtain the expert residency certification provided by the Rhode Island Department of Education, or RIDE, with verification of good standing from PRN. PRN, Johnson & Wales University Partnership. The PRN has a long-standing partnership with Johnson & Wales University, which opens up additional and novel avenues to candidates of the PRN. While PRN prepares you for the pre-K through 12th grade Rhode Island State certification, simultaneously, Johnson & Wales can prepare you for an educational master's or doctoral degree. During this presentation, I will provide a few highlights about our JWU partnership. At the virtual info session we hope you have or will sign up for, you will hear more of the details about the partnership directly from our JWU staff partners. We work closely with key staff at JWU, including Karen Zoboda, Director of the Education Programs, Nancy Bagley, Coordinator of the Graduate Programs, and Victor Mercurio, one of the various professors who instruct in the degree programs. There are 2 educational degree programs that our partner offers PRN candidates, the EDD and the MED. Namely, JWU offers a master's level program in which you begin your first year of the master's program the year before you enroll in PRN and begin your second year of your master's during the same year that you begin PRN, so that you complete both your master's and PRN program at the same time in June of that year. For the educational doctoral program, you apply to both PRN and the JWU EDD program at the same time. In your first year of PRN, you do not take classes with JWU because we translate your PRN scores into 4 credits that JWU credits to your first year for them. After completing PRN, you can then continue your doctoral studies with JWU for 3 years, or in some cases, wait to begin your JWU program. More information on the JWU programs is provided on the PRN web pages and the JWU specific info sessions held on campus. It's important to note that you cannot apply to PRN only and later and retroactively apply to the JWU EDD program. You have to apply to both programs at the same time if you have an inkling of interest in the JWU doctoral program. There are unique benefits to the PRN JWU partnership for candidates. These include saving time in that you do not attend JWU as you are enrolled in PRN during your first year. Financially, applying for FAFSA monies and some discounts that JWU offers, and connecting through the wide-reaching networks you become a part of through your participation in both PRN and JWU, such as visiting JWU classrooms and attending a library orientation at JWU, along with a listserv email group, tours, JWU staff visits to PRN, and JWU student support services. Applying to PRN. By looking at what you need before applying to PRN, along with some of the program highlights, such as the components, unique pathways we offer, and the application process, you will be able to gather an overview of PRN to better understand what it means for you to apply to the program. As we top off our presentation, you will learn about the steps to apply to PRN, and you will hear replies to questions such as, how do I get an application, who applies, and by when? The aspiring principal and mentor principal journey through the PRN together, from application to graduation, as you now know, beginning with both individuals applying together to PRN. Each fills their set of application forms and interview together and eventually enroll at the same time in PRN. There are mutual benefits for the mentor principal too within the proximal connection that they have and the work that they do with the aspiring principal. Among these perks are the Certificate of Professional Learning Units, or PLUs, that mentors get at the end of PRN, a monetary stipend. Mentors become part of a greater network involving other aspiring and mentor principals from across Rhode Island. Ultimately, many of these connections stay and grow even after PRN is completed. We often hear, too, that mentors say that they learn just as much, if not more, than the aspiring principals through such PRN experiences as the relationships that they build, the readings they have, and the rich and varied feedback they provide to aspiring principals across the PRN cohort. The application, which you have to request from PRN, appears in Google Classroom, and this is a process that involves you, your mentor principal, and your superintendent, and includes required signatures from all of these individuals in order to provide maximum support to the aspiring principal. Mark your calendars with the application deadline, which is Friday, March 24, 2023, at which point PRN staff begins to review applications and schedule interviews with the aspiring and mentor principals. This is the timeline for the PRN application process beginning in November when the applications open. By late March, the applications close and we begin to schedule interviews in April. Interviews begin in early May and decisions are made about admissions in late May, with the program beginning in June. What's next? Interested? Complete the potential applicant info form. Just click on the link. This helps us to have initial information on those that are interested in order to best serve them throughout the application process. If you have not yet attended a virtual info session for PRN, join us during any one of these dates to hear current aspiring principals share about their PRN experiences and to ask questions you have. Click on the link to sign up. Looking to apply and getting closer to your dreams? Complete the intent to apply form and you will receive 2 emails, one with instructions and another with an application link within about a work week. With your mentor principal, you will then be ready to begin your PRN application. Got questions? Through our partnership, we invite and highly recommend that you attend a PRN virtual info session as you begin your application process. Click on the link on the slide. The information you get through the info session will help you better navigate through the application process, as it also gives you the opportunity to meet and interact with current PRN aspiring principals who will share about their experiences in PRN and respond to your questions through a virtual session. We also encourage you to attend a JWU info session if you are applying to the JWU doctoral program to understand what a concurrent enrollment in both programs will look like for you. Just email or call Mary Panella. You can always visit our website for more information, and you will find a variety of resources about PRN, including frequently asked questions ranging from tuition to the Johnson & Wales University Partnership to descriptions of the pathways which you heard today, an application example, and sample calendars with meeting dates and assignments. Further, if you have specific questions about the program design, feel free to contact me, Evelyn, at the listed email on the slide. For admissions questions, email Chris Jones, and for finance and billing inquiries, you can email Cora Bromley. Glad you joined us to learn more about PRN today. We look forward to hearing from you in the near future as you look to becoming ready, willing, hired, and sustained in leading for student equity in Rhode Island.